Hey everyone, I'm Scott Stokely, and there is something that lots and lots of players do that kills the power on their sidearm. If you're doing this one thing incorrectly, I'm about to fix it for you. But first, I just introduced a 6-month online course, Become a Complete Disc Golfer. The first class launched today, sold out of course, but I'll be opening up a new class shortly. If you're interested in my 6-month online class, go to scottstokely.net for more details. You can also sign up for the next class. If there's not openings or it's not live yet, just get on the waiting list. You'll be the first to be notified. And also, if you like my content, please share it to your social media. That's how I get more viewers. All right, if you've watched any of my sidearm tutorial videos, the most common theme among them is throw a ball, not a frisbee. And I usually leave it at least when I'm in front of people describing it, is that this right here is a frisbee throw. That's a frisbee throw. That's a frisbee throw. This is a ball throw. The mechanics of the sidearm are far more like throwing a ball than throwing a frisbee. And the reason I teach that is because it wraps up a whole bunch of different questions into an answer that everyone already has inside of them. If you're trying to learn how to throw a sidearm and you ask me, where is your toe point? How do you brace? When do you shift your weight? When do the hips rotate? What do you do with your elbow? Where are you looking? How do you aim? What do you do with the other arm? Every single one of those questions can be wrapped up with throw a ball. If I handed you a ball and said to throw it, you'd say, oh, like this? And you would just throw it. You wouldn't think about bracing your elbow or even aiming. It's something we can all do. We can all pick up and throw an object. This is not a frisbee. This is just an object. This is 90% like throwing a ball. And usually I leave it that way as a teaching technique. But there is something more specific in there that I keep seeing players do that I finally just decided to bite the bullet, tell y'all how to fix it. There's a myth out there that when you throw the sidearm, you should keep your palm up. It's also referred to as serving the pizza. Now, that is not bad advice for throwing a frisbee. If you're doing that when playing Ultimate, there's reasons because of the flight of the disc where you're going to do different mechanics than you would need to do with a golf disc. And I'm not even telling you not to serve the pizza or keep your palm up when you're throwing a 70-foot approach shot. This is related to power. But what you're going to do is not serve the pizza. I'll explain. Forget disc golf for a minute. Pretend that you're playing baseball. Put the baseball in your throwing hand. Now imagine you're a left fielder throwing to second base. So it's not about junk pitches or making the ball curve. It's about making this object fly as fast as possible. You're going to take this ball, you're going to throw from left field into second base. Your fingers, when you do that, and everyone will do this, in fact, go through the motion with me. Your fingers will go behind the ball. If I was turned this way, the two fingers on the ball would go behind the ball to propel it forward. That's an overhand. Obviously, that's not how you throw sidearm. But imagine now if you were a left fielder and you chose to throw a sidearm to second base, but instead of an overhand delivery, you dropped your arm into a 3/4 delivery. Well, you would still do the same motion with your wrist, with your arm dropped, which is the fingers would be behind the ball. That is how you make that object get to second base fast. Now, just for fun, hold the baseball in your left hand, or excuse me, your throwing hand. Hold it in your throwing hand and throw the ball to second base. But this time, pull your fingers under the ball and put backspin on the baseball, throwing to second base. Clearly, you would never do that if you were an outfielder. That is not how to make this object get to second base as fast as possible. Your fingers stay behind the ball, they don't go under the ball. If you throw a sidearm with your hand up, your palm up, or you serve the pizza, You're doing the same thing as throwing a baseball with backspin. Your wrist does not have the same amount of mobility this direction as it does this direction. Your wrist is not as strong this direction as it is this direction. This is the direction your wrist is intended to move. This is the way your wrist is going to move when you throw the sidearm. So when you're throwing a sidearm, you don't serve the pizza. You keep your wrist parallel to your body, your hand parallel to your body, and you come across sideways. This is how it's going to look. Wrist is cocked this direction. That is the motion you want your wrist to go. That is how you generate power. Now, the one hesitation some of you may have in doing that is a fear of what people mistakenly call rolling their wrist. Rolling their wrist is when you're throwing a sidearm and instead of flying the direction you're intending it to go, it goes 10 or 15 degrees left and also turns over and goes into the ground. And most players feel that that's happening when they're taking their wrist and coming over the disc. They've rolled their wrist. That's not what's causing it. 7% of the time when a player rolls their wrist, the reason it's happening isn't because of what they've done with their wrist. It's because they're throwing sideways across their body instead of facing forward the direction they're throwing. So I'm going to do this facing the camera. If you throw sideways across your body this direction and you plant with your foot turned sideways and you don't serve the pizza, which is correct, you might pull the disc across your body and it goes off to the left and turns over. You think you rolled your wrist. If, however, you correctly use your wrist when throwing the disc, but instead, when you plant, your body is forward, that disc will never go over there. It'll never turn over to the side. It has nothing to do with your wrist. If you and I were playing catch with a baseball and you were turned towards me, throwing a baseball to me, you would never miss me 10 feet to the left. Ever. Not in a million throws would that happen if you're facing forward. So don't serve the pizza. Don't keep your palm up. Your wrist goes this direction, not this direction. And if you fear that you're going to roll your wrist, or if you do turn it over and it goes off to the left, it's not because of your wrist. It's because you were turned 90 degrees from the hole when you threw and not facing forward. I hope this helps. If you were doing this wrong, you're going to throw farther immediately. Again, please post to your social media. And if you're on YouTube right now, please subscribe. That's what tells YouTube my content's worth recommending to other people. Thanks, everyone.